vast array of weapons and ammunition, as well as money to train Ukrainian forces. We're going to bring in Jamil Jaffer. He's the founder and executive director of the National Security Institute, also a former associate White House counsel to President Bush. Jamil, first of all, I want to get your assessment on the state of this war 6 months in. Does either side have the upper hand or an off-ramp? And do you have any specific concerns about the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant?
Well, Arthel, it's hard to know whether either side is going to be able to gain a strategic advantage here. Right now, we seem to be frozen at something of a stalemate. The Ukrainians have done a great job pushing back against the Russians in what everyone thought would be a very short war, with the Russians succeeding very quickly. They haven't. They've lost, 20 to 30,000 troops already. Ukrainians have lost 6,000 civilians. So casualties are high, but the Ukrainians have successfully pushed the Russians back and held them in a stalemate. The Russians and Ukrainians are both thinking about increasing their offensive capabilities and pushing forward. So we'll have to see what happens. With respect to Zaporizhzhia, obviously really concerning the shelling that continues in that area, the pressure that both sides are putting on that facility, in particular the Russians having taken it over, having gotten rid of a significant number of operators there at the plant, put that plant in jeopardy with the continued artillery and the like. And so we worry about a potential nuclear disaster with a cloud that could spread, of radiation that could spread over Europe. That's the real concern with Zaporizhzhia.
Right, you're talking about a leak, not an explosion, but a leak, a possible leak. Right, Jamil, yes or no?
Exactly right.
Okay, so let's talk about this $3 billion aid package. How will it help Ukraine's defense and any offense, preemptive moves against Russia?
Well, look, some of the equipment being supplied in this very large package is important stuff. We're talking about 6 NASAM air and surface-to-air missiles, which will help protect the Ukrainians against Russian aircraft. We're also talking about anti-drone systems called the Vampire system, which can be mounted on the back of a truck. So there's really good capabilities there. Also, tens of thousands of rounds of artillery and mortar shells. So real opportunity there for the Ukrainians. These materials will be sent over a period of time. The Ukrainians will be able to buy them from the U.S. military defense industrial base. So we'll be able to get some of that and be able to sell that back to the Ukrainians with American money. The upside for the Ukrainians is...
Wait. Slow down, Jamil. Would you say we'll be able to sell that back?
Yeah, so what's happening here is the U.S. government is providing the Ukrainians money, which they will then use to purchase equipment from American defense contractors. So that's how this money will be deployed. It'll be to the Ukrainians, and then they'll be buying American equipment.
Interesting. Okay. Let me read an excerpt from the Wall Street Journal, a report that came out on Wednesday regarding this latest Ukraine aid package. Part of the article says, quote, while some defense companies may be able to provide some munitions in the coming months, the Biden administration said getting the weapons promised to Ukraine on Wednesday would be a multi-year investment. Some weapons could take as long as 3 years to arrive, defense officials said. And now, before I get back to you, Jamil, I want to play some sound right now from Pentagon Press Secretary and Air Force Brigadier General Pat Ryder. Let's listen.
Part of this is not only providing that capability, but sending an important message to Russia, but also to our allies and our partners in the region about our commitment to supporting Ukraine. And probably the most important audience is the Ukrainians themselves, demonstrating our commitment as a country and as a military to supporting them in their fight.
So some weapons could take as long as 3 years to arrive. Of course, Ukraine needs to fortify its military beyond this current war, and the Pentagon wants to display a long-term commitment to Ukraine. So I ask you, Jamil, is this the right strategy and projection? One, we could have a different administration in 3 years, and two, might the aid eventually be in the form of special ops and less financing?
Well, certainly, Arthel, it's valuable to provide this assistance to Ukraine, even over the long term, so they can defend themselves against a future potential Russian attack. But the problem, of course, here, you wonder, Arthel, is why didn't we provide this kind of long-term support to the Ukrainians before the invasion, right? If we had provided this kind of support, this kind of training to the Ukrainians well in advance, you might very well have deterred the Russians from coming in. And so one wonders themselves, look, we've known the Russians have been interested in Ukraine for a long time. They took Crimea back in 2014. We started the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative. We provided about $1.5 billion of funding to Ukraine there. Why didn't the Biden administration, as we were in the run-up to this war at the end of last year, provide this assistance then to try and deter the Russian invasion that we're now in the middle of and the thousands of lives that have been lost of Ukrainian civilians?
And President Zelensky was begging for that assistance early on. Jamil Jaffer, I have to leave it there. Thank you. Always good to see you, Jamil. Take care.
Thanks, Hartel.
Eric?